Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Senior Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Tuesday, August 3rd, 5:10 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Market Insight video. State of the market, we continue to be in an uptrend with the exception of the lagging small cap indexes, which can't seem to get above the short-term 21-day exponential moving average and the medium-term 50-day moving average. Long-term, we're sitting fine in an uptrend, and we have been since for over a year now, going all the way back to last July. From a leadership standpoint, looking pretty good. We're going to take a look at how some leaders, we've had quite a few gap ups recently, and some of them are sticking and some of them absolutely aren't. And we got caught in one today that didn't. And we'll show you what led us to buy it and then led us to sell half of it. So sometimes you try to put the odds in your favor and it just doesn't work out. But when you've got a system that it has a positive expectation in the long run, you understand that the losses are just part of the system. You sell it, you keep your losses small, and you move on. So what just happened today? 4 out of the 5 indexes had a positive reversal off of their 21-day exponential moving average. That's a good sign. Anytime we test that support level and it holds and we bounce off it is a good thing for the market. We absolutely will break it at some point. Whether or not that's going to be this week, next week, or a month from now, we don't try to predict that. We will just keep a look out for what's going on with the indexes, what's going on with the individual sectors, and of course, what's going on with the leading stocks. So as you can see, finishing firmly in the green today, S&P 500 up 0.8%. NASDAQ 100 up 0.6, Dow Jones up 0.8, mid caps up 0.6, Russell up 0.4%. But some of the growth proxies that we keep an eye on lagged today, and so did some leading stocks. But for the most part, we're still looking okay. So let's get to the charts. But first of all, let's get to the faces behind Revere Asset Management. We are a fully transparent, active advisor that strives to monitor the market, get invested in the best stocks and the best sectors when the market is in an uptrend, and make sure that we get out of the way when the market turns into a downtrend. And if you're interested in this approach, I would advise you to give us a shout, and we would love to discuss the pros and cons with you. You can reach any of us. The easiest way to get a hold of us is call 855-REAL-WEALTH. That's 855-732-5932. And either Dan or Muriel, our office manager, will take that call. And if you've got a question for anybody in the investment group that's making the investment decisions and monitoring the market, you can email Tim, Hunter, Alex, or Don at revereasset.com. We love talking stocks and markets with people. So let's get to the charts here. S&P 500, let me blow this up a little bit. And you can see, so last week we had a shakeout early in the week, very strong close to the week, not last week, sorry, the week before. Very strong close to the week, consolidated that for 6 sessions, tried to break through the bottom of that today, but found support right above the 21-day exponential moving average, closed at the top of the range. So this is an outside bullish reversal. And what we want to look for is to see if there is follow-through strength off of this tomorrow. This quite simply means that the bears tried to take control. The bulls said, not so fast, my friends, and took it back with a strong afternoon and a strong close. Let's take a look at a 5-minute chart, and you can see what I see here. So we had a little bit of a gap up and then really a harsh sell-off right here, but we bottomed at this 43.73 level right after the first 30 minutes, about 40 minutes in, had a nice bounce, consolidated it a little bit, and then broke above it here late morning. So this was a little bit before noon, consolidated and just melted up into the close, and that's pretty bullish. Let me blow this out a little bit so we can get a little bit more perspective on it. And that's not working at all. So let's go back to here's a 15-minute chart, and really we've just been in a big range, and you can see we came down to the bottom of this range. This is what we tested from 727, tested, held, and headed back up toward the top of the range. So we want to see if we can get above 44.30 tomorrow for some follow-through strength, and we go from there. Let's go to the NASDAQ 100 now. That's the QQQ. QQQ, see this, here's the big shakeout that we had last week. That was on the 27th again, and undercut, tested the kind of the low of that from Friday, 7:30, and didn't even get down as far as the low on the 27th, and then again bounced and melted into the close. Let's bring that up on a daily chart, and you can see bottomed right above the 21-day exponential moving average, held the low of 727, which was the last attempted move, actually really the last pullback after we had these 5 strong up days after the 719 shakeout. Let's go next to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, last of the 3 big cap indexes, trying for a strong breakthrough here, 35,116. Not quite an all-time close, but you can see this 35,000 to 35,100 level. We've been battling that for 3 weeks. A clear breakout of that. Again, you can see here's the green line today. We just barely undercut it and then finished at the highs of the day. See if we can bust out of this range tomorrow to the upside. When I do want to note, when you have a positive reversal like this, the bottom of the day where you had a positive reversal is very important. That would be an inflection point, because if you violate that, then that would mean that the positive reversal is undone. It was just a short-term, one-time knee-jerk reaction, and if you break decisively below the bottom of that, it could lead to testing further downside. Let's take a look at the mid caps here. Also, so they've been hanging above the 50 for 3 days. You know, we've been struggling with mid caps and small caps. Undercut the 21. Got back above the 50 into the close, so 4 days above the 50-day moving average here on mid caps. We do want to see this green line, the 21-day exponential moving average, get back above the red line. That's the 50-day moving average. And note a little bit of relative strength last week in these, not so far early this week. And finally, the weakest of the indexes, the small caps here. So you can see the inability 3 days in a row to get above the 50-day. And then we broke back through the 21 on 2 of those 3 days, made a lower low, still languishing below the 21 and the 50. This is where we're weak. And IWO, I mentioned small cap growth lagging today. This is one of the proxies that we look at. Let me blow this chart down to a normal size here, and you can see how that's languishing below the 50 and the 21, which are lined up all around this 300 level. And the 200-day moving average for right now is providing support for small cap growth, but really haven't been able to get any strength out of small cap growth whatsoever. Let's compare that to small cap value. This is where ZIWM, as in Mary, this is where banks and oils reside, and really just trending sideways on that. So no strength either in small cap growth or value. Not a surprise there, because those are the 2 indexes that are below the 21 and the 50-day. But if we can get some strength out of there, we might be able to see the market take another leg higher. How about some individual stocks? First of all, let's talk about the difficulty that we ran into. Hunter talked about Monday pre-market, how we had our eye on Square and Tesla, and how they were acting pre-market, and we were looking at breakouts, and we wanted to see what these breakouts would do. So here's a 15-minute chart here. So here's, you can't see the pre-market on here, but very strong out of the gate Square. So we took position on this on Monday, and it had a nice consolidation day today. We'll pull it back, an inside day. The prior high provided resistance and the ADMA when it pulled back, so nothing wrong with this today on Square. Tesla, the second one that we saw strength pre-market, it did break above this 700 area, and it pulled back and held the 700 area today. So for now, Tesla and Square, the 2 things that we bought Monday, are okay. So pre-market today, we were looking at ZI, which is a software stock, kind of a recent IPO. Let's bring up a weekly chart of it. This looks a little bit jagged on a weekly chart, and really it's not the best pattern, but you can see an inverse head and shoulders on here with a pivot. You could argue the pivot is, one pivot would be here around 54, but it's not a very well formed head and shoulders. But from a flat base perspective, the pivot would be right around this 60 area here. Okay, so let's bring it back to the daily chart. Strengthen this after hours this morning. I'm sorry, after hours last night. That was Monday night. Got it on our radar today. We saw more strength this morning on it as it was trading between 60 and 62 on some pretty decent volume pre-market. So right at the open, we got into it. Started to take a little bit of a nibble on it. Saw it pull back. Making some progress. These are 5-minute bars on here, so added to it twice, end up with a 4% position. But then after 10 o'clock, when we saw that swoon in the indexes, let me bring up the QQQ right now. Actually, let me bring up the IWO. You're probably going to see it very easily there. Yeah, here's the swoon after 10 o'clock in small growth that carried over to ZI. And ZI never really recovered during the day. So when it tried to get back above the low of this first 5-minute bar, did it 3 times, it approached it and wasn't able to get back through it. I really did not expect this in any way, shape, or form. Everything seemed to be lined up for this. Let's take a look at the number of funds on weekly. Not a lot of funds in here, from 187 to 255 to 320 over the last two, so plenty of room for it to grow. You had the volume after market yesterday, you had volume pre-market today. Everything added up to this being able to be a successful breakout, but it sure as heck wasn't. In fact, as the final double check, we took a look at the IBD Mutual Fund Index to see if any of the IBD flagged funds had positions in here. We found 4 of them that did. That gave us even more conviction to get in it. But no matter how many times, sometimes you think something's going to work, it doesn't always work. So we broke below the 60 area here, and when we broke below 58, which was this really 57.72 over here, this prior low, I took half of it off, so we're still holding half of this underwater by about 8% on it. Not going to give this much more room. This should have a lot of support here between this 54-ish area where it broke out from, but for now this is just an absolute failed breakout on Zoom info. So you can't always get what you want, but who knows? This could be the bottom put in today. I've read a couple of bullish reviews of this this stock's earnings report, and maybe it'll turn around and go higher, but we've always got to keep our risk measured, and like I said, sold half of it now. We're down to a 2% position, and we'll see where it goes from here. A couple other negative reversals on things that tried to break out. It wasn't just Zoom info. Recent IPOU had a strong breakout yesterday, completely undone today. Another one that did not do so well, Upstart. Tried to break. I mean, Upstart has been battling this area, trying to put in a bottom. Broke out above the 50-day, got its first close yesterday above this 130 area, tried to move higher today, harsh reversal, closed back below the 50-day moving average. This one is just not quite ready yet. Let's see, I think we had another one. Yeah, DOCS was another recent IPO that tried to break out last week, had 2 harsh reversal days over the last 2. So not everything is going straight up. We got a couple that are working though. One of them is ON. You know, semiconductors have been strong lately. Gap up yesterday in a day 2 higher high on this one. Break out of its flat base. 2 days of above average volume. This one looks pretty good. And DOCN. Another one that had a little bit of a breakout yesterday and followed through with some volume on strength. They've got earnings in 2 days, though. So a couple of new stocks here. Let's take a look at some things that we own and what's acting well and what's maybe lagging a little bit. Franco-Nevada gold stock still kind of struggling, but this made a higher high today. DOCU continues to take a break. We're down to a half position on this as it's holding on to the 21-day exponential moving average. LULU continues to be very strong, following through to the upside, just riding this 8 EMA higher. That's one of our larger positions. DT, a second one, that's one of our larger positions, continues to ride the 8 and the 21 higher. Square, I showed the pullback for that already. Let's take a look at Zscaler. We got out of crowd and into Zscaler. Similar sector, but we noticed that Zscaler has really been outperforming crowd lately. So we got stopped on crowd on Friday below the 21. It tried to reclaim it today, but failed. And note the relative strength over the last week and a half compared to Zscaler's relative strength, just the opposite. So traded out one for another. And another one that we still have a small position on, very volatile stock, 10% daily range, but LendingClub made a higher high today after its gap up. So what are we looking for the rest of the week? After this positive reversal on the 21, it's very important that today's lows hold. When you have an outside positive reversal, it's very important that the lows of that day hold. That's a temporary line in the sand that the bears, were unable to overcome. If it breaks below that, that means that they are taking charge, although they couldn't today, but they may down the road, right above the 21-day exponential moving average. That's going to wrap it. As always, I'd love to hear from you. I'm on Twitter at dvandenbord, email don@revereasset.com, or you can call 855-REAL-WEALTH. Wrapping up Tuesday, August 3rd. This is Don Vandenbord with Just the Facts. Thanks for listening and have a great day.